Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lessons Beyond the Stethoscope. As you know, I like to let you guys kind of log on, get you some time to hop on here so that we can make sure that you're here and you have time to do that. The other thing is, you guys know I'm always concerned about the weather. So let me know who's on here because I never can tell exactly who is on. I can tell that some people are on, but I don't know who. So I want to make sure that I know who you are so that I can appropriately say hello because I truly am thankful and grateful that you guys decide to tune in. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge you. So go ahead and let me know that you are here and where you're watching from if you want to tell me that. We've had people as far away as Minot, North Dakota. So I've been excited about that. But let me know what is happening in your neck of the woods, especially with weather. Here in Savannah, we've been flip-floppy. I can't figure it out. Sometimes I know November is still pretty warm, but this one has thrown me for a loop because we got down into around the 60s, which is pretty cool for Savannah. And then we got up into the 70s. And then I heard yesterday they said 80s. You guys will have mid 70s, low 80s. And I was like, but it's December. So I'm not quite sure what's happening. And it's affecting my sinuses because I'm okay today and then I'm stopped up tomorrow. And I think that's happening with a lot of people out there. And we're having a lot of patients call in and say, what can I do about it? And we even get the question about antibiotics. And I was like, not yet. This is just like a weather change thing. So if you're experiencing that or you're logged on, just let me know because I want to acknowledge and just say hello because we are excited that you are here. And so I'm just give you a couple more seconds to tune in and to log in. And then we're going to get started because I don't want to waste your time. And I'm just so excited about what we're going to talk about today and the guests that I have so that we can really get this information out to you guys so you can use it to the best of your ability. Dr. Caudill, how is the weather on your end? I know we're both in Savannah, but we're in different parts. And so sometimes it could be sunshiny over here and it could be rainy on the other side. So how are you guys doing on that side of town?
It's pretty warm today, and it's very, it's a beautiful day indeed.
I know. So it's a nice day. You want to get out and do some things. So I may
Yeah.
like try to get out and do something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, without further ado, I want to go ahead and get started. Guys, this is Lessons Beyond the Stethoscope, and our whole job is to provide you with the tips and the tools that you can use in your everyday life because what we know is that life ultimately can affect your health. And so we want to give you as much knowledge and information that you have so that you can equip yourself to be able to handle any of those challenges. Today, we're talking about this is episode 6, and it is how to keep your child healthy, the importance of diet and exercise. And I'm excited about the guest that we have today. It's Dr. Yolanda Rivera-Caudill. She's also known as Dr. Beat, and she is a board certified pediatrician, and she's been in practice and has had over 30 years of experience. And she's also a diplomat in lifestyle medicine. She's from Puerto Rico and she did her residency and fellowship at Miami Children's Hospital, which is now the Nicholas Children's Hospital. And afterwards, she and her family moved to Savannah so that she could practice. But while in practice, she started to notice that the children that she was treating were starting to develop obesity and even some other adult illnesses. And that became a concern and a little bit frustrating for her. But instead of just saying, oh, well, this is kind of what's happening, she said, what can I do about it? And that's when she learned about lifestyle medicine. And not only is she learning about it and got the information for herself, she's using that with her patients and their families to help them understand some of these things that they can practically use in their everyday life. And she does this at her practice, the Tiny Bee, which is one of the cutest pediatric practices that I have seen. And there it is a general pediatrics lifestyle medicine office in Savannah, Georgia. So thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Beat.
Thank you for having me. This is very nice. I love it.
Good. So this is what we're gonna talk about lifestyle medicine, because I'll be honest, I know a lot of things, but one of the things I didn't quite know a lot about was lifestyle medicine and exactly what it was. I kind of had an idea, but didn't really know exactly what it was. There are
Yeah.
several components. There's exercise, there's diet, there's even sleep that's a part of it.
Mhm.
But from your experience and your knowledge, what exactly is lifestyle medicine and why is it important for the children and the families that you serve?
Yeah, lifestyle medicine is a area of medicine that emphasizes, it's like common sense medicine, I would call it. Emphasizes the things that affect the lifestyle of every one of us that we sometimes take it for granted, and we haven't been under addressed in the medicine nowadays. So, like you said, physical activity, nutrition, and sleep that we always forget. I mean, me as a physician, I always forget to ask about sleep, even if a kid has attention deficit or some behavior problems. Sometimes it was not on my radar. And connections, like how are you relating to your family, and how are you communicating, managing of stress, and of course substance use or abuse. Those are the pillars of lifestyle medicine.
So it seems like it's just taking everything into account to just make sure that the child is pretty much whole, which
Yeah.
I really like about it. And one of the things that I really appreciated when the first thing when I looked at lifestyle medicine, one of the things they had in there was first, do no harm. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I mean, we have that oath, and
Yes.
that's the oath that we take when we say we're going to
Mm-hmm.
practice medicine. But it was very interesting to me that they intentionally put that in there. And when I thought about it, I said, well, it makes sense because these are children. And you have to be intentional about how you approach this topic with children and with their families. So, talk to me about how you do that with your children and the
Mm-hmm.
families that you treat.
Yes, one of the things when we're dealing, especially with children with obesity or overweight, whether we like it or not, whether we want to admit it or not, we all have some biases. Okay,
Mm,
that's it's very hard that no one, everybody has one or another, and if there are certain tests that you can check for your biases, and we have that, and then we don't want to bring that into our relationship with our kids, because we can do more harm than good. We
mm,
can, for example, I mean, society and even the families, and again, the physicians, even well intended, can
mm,
be promoting that weight stigma. So we have to be very mindful about that. Obesity and overweight is a very complex issue. It's not, I mean, and sometimes putting the burden on the kid or the family alone is really, really unfair, because that's not just, it's not a math issue that calories and in and calories out is more complex than that. That's why I love about lifetime medicine. And for example, when we do not are mindful about that, that can create chronic stress. Chronic stress in turn can activate pathways of inflammation
mm.
that in turn makes the disease a lot worse. So it is a very complex thing. And one of the things that I'm able to do, and I'm blessed that I can do that when I have kids, especially with managing weight or overweight, or obesity, I don't weight them all the time. I don't even call it a weight check, because then it puts that burden on that number that I don't want. That's not the main focus. That's not the main part of the visit. It's all the lifestyle changes around that. Are you sleeping? How are you managing stress? All those things are by far more important than looking at that number. Once you see that number, it's hard to unsee it.
Mm.
So I call them lifestyle medicine visits, and we don't even go. I don't check. We
Mm.
talk. I don't go to the exam room. We meet in my office. We can walk if they want. We can meet in the gazebo, but it's not. It's more about what's happening to your life. It's more prevention and reversing of disease if we can. I love it.
I love that. I love that you don't put the stress on it as far as like this is a weight check and we need to check your weight every time and all this, because that can be very stressful.
Yeah.
And I've heard adults who were, overweight as children who carry that with them now, and they talk about how they had to be weighed all the time, and the anxiety of getting on the scale and watching that number, and it's just a whole cycle. So I like that you don't
Mhm.
really focus on that. You talk about the other things, but it sounds like it's a process, because we like to look at, for a
Data.
lack of a better term, kind of the immediate results, and we want to
Uh-huh.
see the results, and we want
Mhm.
to and
Mhm.
how do we follow the results? We have to look at the number, that
Mhm.
sort of thing.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think having to retrain ourselves and say, okay,
Mhm.
let's just look at the big picture.
Mhm.
And how do you kind of approach that with the parents to kind of reinforce
Mhm.
that? Okay, this is just, we're just we're gonna get there, and this is the
Mhm.
goal, but it's gonna take a while to get
Mhm.
there, and this is how we're gonna approach it.
And with children, for example, children are growing, so the weight is going to be
Mm.
moving up. So it is harder to understand that concept because you are going to continue to gain weight because you're growing, you know. So, and I tell the families, first of all, everybody has to be in the same boat. I don't want any child to be singled out. So it's not that we're here because of you and we're going to have these foods in the house and they're for us and not for you, God forbid.
Mm.
That's one thing. I tell them it took a while to get here. It's gonna take us a while to get to stabilize that and then get it better. But and concentrate the attention on how you're feeling. Are you feeling that you're more active? Are you feeling that you're more relaxed? If we are doing that, that is gonna relate. That's gonna translate into less stress, less inflammation. You're gonna start.
Mm.
You're gonna be able to lose weight, but it's not gonna be a pill that is gonna be making everything really really fast. That's not. If we do that, and many times kids want to do that in families, and sometimes they end up in the other spectrum, the other end of the spectrum, which is, I don't know if it's worse, but it's just as bad. So the thing is that they understand that this is a process, and I tell them strive for progress and not perfection.
Mm.
And when they're losing weight too fast, and that's one of the things that the reasons why, one of the times that I want to check the weight, because I think we're going too fast in this, we're eating too much. um I want to make sure that we're not falling. They're usually it's because they're not eating, they don't want to eat. They're
Okay.
controlling it, in an unhealthy way. I want them to eat, I want them to eat the right things. So it's a process to get used to those new foods and stuff like that. So, but the whole family should do it.
Okay, so I like that it's a whole family process. But I like the fact that you're touching on the food, because that was the next thing I was gonna discuss with you, because I know that you have the training in culinary coaching by
Mhm,
Harvard Medical School and
mhm,
Spalding Rehabilitation Network, and that you also obtained the plant-based nutrition certificate from the T. Colin Campbell Center. So, having all of that information, what are some of those tips that you have for families with the diets? I
mhm,
love the fact that let's get everybody on board, and we all try to do these and implement some of these changes ourselves.
mhm.
But what are some tips, especially, let's just, the picky eater?
Okay.
Everybody has a picky eater, someone
Mhm.
who doesn't want to eat the green things. They say, oh, it looks weird, so I'm not going to eat it. Those sorts of things. How do you kind of coach
And
families and give
yeah,
them some different things to
and
introduce that?
especially that toddlers are, even if they're being eating, they're, I mean, like the flip of a switch. Like, oh, now they love broccolis, and tomorrow is like the grossest thing they've ever seen in their lives, and that's normal. And also that, I mean, that's one of the first things you have to understand: what is normal and what is not, and as long as they're moving on in the graph that they're developing, even if they're skinny kids or they're on
Mm.
the other end of the spectrum, if they're moving on with a graph in their percentile, I'm not too worried about that. Now, one thing, for example, um, make the good choice the easy choice. Oh, I'm hungry. Let me do. I mean, that doesn't go with the picky eater, but that goes too, because if they're hungry and the easy choice is chips or cookies,
Mm.
and and then at the time that they're gonna eat, they're not hungry. I'm not gonna, in a full stomach, uh, the piece of broccoli, it's the grossest thing that you probably will see, but in a hungry stomach, maybe it's an interesting thing. So have the fruits available in the counter where everybody's going around, have them ready. They're, they're clean. They just grab them, have them in the fridge, cut and ready and very pretty. And the first thing they open the fridge is like, oh yeah, I can have that piece of watermelon. It looks tasty and delicious right now. So make the healthy choice the easy choice. And of course, they're not doing the grocery shopping, so don't have it accessible to them. The least amount. I don't advocate to have like prohibited foods, because whatever is prohibited is what you really crave and want. But if your stomach again is full with something good, then there's not much room for that other stuff. And if it's not accessible, that you open the pantry and is there right in there, you can have nuts and stuff like that. So having family dinners, showing them that we eat that. This is how we eat in this house, mommy and daddy have to lead by example. That's one of the biggest challenges. Like, do as I say, not as I do. It doesn't work. It's never worked, and it's not going to work when you're trying that the kids eat a healthier diet. So just make sure that that you have that. And with picky eaters and with kids in general and with adults, exposure is crucial. You want to have those foods. Even though they didn't like it, the fact that they didn't like it yesterday doesn't mean that they might, or the fact that they didn't like steamed broccoli doesn't mean that they might not like roasted broccoli, and variety. You want to aim for variety of foods and plants, definitely. So having an exposure in different ways. You can have beans even in desserts. You can have greens. You can add them in smoothies, And when you put them in the smoothie, it takes whatever flavor of the fruit that you put in there, for example. And it's not like hiding it, because you can ask them, okay, how can you make this? I bet we can put some greens in here and you're not gonna taste it. So it's not a matter. I don't want brave. I mean, like you like hide it or try to coerce them. Never, 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 never. It doesn't matter how picky the kid is. You should not force a kid to eat. You should trust the instinct. If you trust it, they're going to eat whatever their body is asking them. But the food is in there. I don't want. Okay, that's not. But don't go in there to get cereal and milk. Okay, because that's not the deal. You're not hungry. You're not hungry for this. You're not hungry for the other one. The food is going to be here. When you're hungry, you can have it. No asking, no fighting, nothing. Just, okay, it's there. Don't worry. Yeah, you're not hungry. But forcing a kid to eat might develop other issues in the short term and the long term. So not forcing them, looking away, involving them in the kitchen. It's fantastic, because they get to play, with it, and So what spice do you think we should put in this? Okay, well, let's start. Let's see what happens with you. So making them part of the process is really important. Growing the foods, and keep in mind, like for pregnant women, that the taste buds start developing in utero. So it start with when you're pregnant to start getting those fruits and veggies in your body, because the baby might be more receptive to try them later on.
These are such good tips, because I remember when my kids were toddlers, and I still have a toddler now, but it's so funny. One of those things that you said, you're like, they love this one thing today, but tomorrow they don't like it. And so I like the fact that you said that although they don't like it today, they might like it tomorrow, or they might like it a different way. So if they don't like steamed broccoli, try roasting it, or trying that. That's like golden. I love that. And then the other point that you said is like getting them involved with it, because I think that by them feeling a part of the process and they feel like, oh, I made this, they're probably more willing to try it too. And I will admit that I know of a lot of people who do the force, like, well, you're going to eat it. This is what you're going to eat, and that, and how you're saying how we can take a different approach to that. So all great tips, and I love it.
Yeah, I like the approach of intuitive eating. And then the other thing is that just be mindful that taste buds take a while for that to be, they have to expose sometimes 10 times. So the fact that they didn't like that, I don't know, whatever carrots today doesn't mean that, the taste buds will be at it. So exposure and patience and lots of
Patience.
patience.
That's a that's
Yeah.
a great one.
That's the kid.
Patience.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I love it. Okay, so parents, we have to have some patience as we go through this process. I see a lot of P's here. Patience, process. I love it. Um, the other thing that I know is that, like I said, you do a lot of this. You do diet, but you also look at exercise as well.
Mhm, mhm.
And you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. Like literally, you're part of this organization, Walk with the Doc. And I love that because you walk with people and talk to them about different health concerns that they have and how to stay healthy, things of that nature. When it comes to children, what are some ways that we can continue to keep our children healthy, to keep them active, to get them out and get them to go?
Okay. So children and adults, we strive on structure. I mean, on the consistency of
Mm.
the habit. So once you start, from the beginning, from they're younger, you can start having them, okay, this is how we do it. And kids should be outside playing for 1 to 2 hours every day, ideally. That would be in an
Mm.
ideal world. I mean, and a lot of kids can do it if, and then they will want that. If you do it, they will continue to do that. The other thing is if they play outside, it helps that they get vitamin D, like from sun exposure, and then it converts to vitamin D. So it's another benefit of playing outside. The other thing is free play. You just don't have to be like an
Mm.
organized play. They let the kids be kids and create. I mean, get sticks and stones and create forts and do stiff stuff that whatever their creative mind leads them to, because that is good for processing, for developing of the brain. In addition to that, problem solving is developed like that. The creativity is developed like that. And so other thing that helps is being physically active helps with stress, helps with the least amount of anxiety and depression. And so it have cognitive benefits, and the bones get stronger. When kids are
Mm.
running and jumping, that impact in the bone, is what one of the most important things. When somebody's in a cast, how they lose so much mass, body mass, and muscle mass and bone mass too. So that impact and even for us, is what makes these bones very, very healthy. So sitting in front of a computer, playing video games does not get, strong bones. The other thing I ask the parents is, be a kid, play with them,
Mm.
teach them the games that you like to play, hide and seek or whatever is it that you like to play when you're kids. They would enjoy it. Is, not for Christmas. Many of the things that they would remember as adults are not the gifts that you give them or the expensive thing. It's probably the time that they spend with you doing silly things and letting your guard down and being a kid with them. And look for excuses. Picnics, one of my favorite things. Picnics, get a frisbee, a volleyball, a soccer ball, and just be outdoors together as a family, sharing time. So don't put so much pressure that you have to organize everything, that structure the life of your kids. Let them have free time to do whatever they want. They might want to not play outside, but they want to draw or play with Legos or whatever they want to do. That's really important for the development of the brain. Okay. So,
I like it. So it's just a lot of this is what you already have. So it's not like we have to go to the gym and we don't have to buy equipment and do all the things. It's just free play, what you have, imagination, and enjoy
mhm,
yourself.
that makes a
Okay.
difference. And, the most precious thing we can give to our kids is our time.
Mm.
That's the most valuable thing. So sometimes we take it for granted, and like, no, for them is gold. and
Mm.
and that, just doing silly things. You don't have to be spending money.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, these are all great points. You touched a great bit on like diet and exercise and things of that nature. Do you have any other like tips or points that you would like for our parents or the children to know about, so that way we can really exercise some of these things and put them into practice?
Well, one of the things, for example, dancing, I don't know, this is a Puerto Rican thing or not, but I cannot clean my house if I don't have salsa music in the background. I mean, this is like, it would be a torture. So it's funny that on Saturdays, which usually when we did the cleaning, when the kids were little, and I would put they were still sleeping, I would put that salsa music to blast the house. They knew it's time to get up and clean the house. And they were like, oh, they associate like, oh, this is Saturday, salsa, it's time to clean the house. And the same thing for cooking. So and then, you teach them like you're brushing your teeth. You can do some squats or something, make it fun. Any type of movement is beneficial. Okay. You're grabbing or getting water in the fridge. Just try to stand up on one leg. Just make it fun. It shouldn't be something structured, or just try to have fun. The same thing with eating. Try to make it fun, because it's going to be so much easier, like
Okay.
not trying to be so structured.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I'm actually looking at some of the comments that are coming in, and they really love a lot of the tips and points that you did. One of the questions is there anything that they can do to promote growth as far as height? Is there anything? I know we're talking about diet and exercise and things of that nature and how that can affect
Yeah.
overall, like their weight and things of that nature. But what about height? Is there anything that they can do to promote that?
Yes and no. Okay.
Okay.
If you want your kid to be 6'5", then maybe you needed to marry a Shaquille O'Neal guy type of vibe. So sometimes genes have a big factor in that. That said, keep in mind that kids grow in their sleep. It is true. Growth hormone goes higher when they're sleep. So sleep is one of the most important factors. I stress sleep like there is no tomorrow. The same way I stress eat fruits and veggies, because it's so important. If they don't, they don't sleep enough, that's going to affect. Okay. Nutrition, of course, you need to have the nutrients for those bones to be healthy. And then what I just mentioned, being physically active, because that makes your bones stronger. So stronger bones. Now, I've seen kids, that their parents are short, but they came out to be very tall. And the other way around is true. Why? Heaven knows. But genes have a lot to do with that. But sleeping, physical activity, and nutrition are three things that you can do for their genes to express the best they can.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And because I know that you do this lifestyle medicine, you also do general pediatrics, but you also do lifestyle medicine as well in your practice. You guys, you can find her. She's called the Tiny Beat. Give us a little bit of information, because some people may want to experience this long term and say, I think I want to find someone who's able to help me incorporate these things. And so we know that you're located in Savannah, but give us some more information about what you offer, what your practice is. That way they can come and see you.
Well, yes, I am here in Savannah, and I do have is a concierge-like practice. So it is very small. I have a small number of patients that I will accept. I'm still accepting patients. But one of the benefits that the parents see is that they have direct contact with me. So they can text me and they can call me, and it's a direct contact. So it's kind of like an old-fashioned medicine. I even see the newborns at their house for the first month of life, which is super nice. And for working parents is really, really good, because they don't wait. They come straight, like if they're spent here 30 minutes, they spend 30 minutes with me. If they spend an hour, they spend an hour with me. And so the benefits that they see is the direct contact with me. And for example, because it's a membership program, I can get to do those things that I don't have to wait the kids if I don't want to. I'm not buying the insurance that tells me that I have to have the set of things that needs to be done. I can do it whatever, the parent and the kid and we decide that is best for us. But not not, like the traditional way. So that's one of the things that I love the most. I can get to be part of their kids' families, and kind of like an old-fashioned way. I love it.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Thank you so much for spending your time with us, guys. She also provided me a link that will have some information about family dinners, because one of the biggest things that I personally took away from this is it's about the family. I know we're looking at this one issue and say, oh, well, exercise and diet and obesity and all these different things. But to me, it all came back to family and spending family time, doing family dinners, doing meals together, exercising together, getting out and having fun together.
Hmm.
And I think that is truly essential. And so she gave me a link that I'm going to share so that you guys will have access to that. Be sure to follow her on the Tiny Beat so that way you can get more updates and information, because she'll post some things about different things that you may not have known about that will be really interesting for you. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Take care.